Hello, everybody. I'm River from the Portland City Gym. Still not editing that out. So today, I have a few announcements that I'm pretty excited to announce. Um, and I also have a deck profile. The deck profile, I mean, it's a deck profile. Um, but the announcements are really what makes this video important. Um, so basically, I'll go over the deck and do the announcements at the end. So today we have what I call a very Josh Hader-esque list. Now, for those who don't know who Josh Hader is, maybe you've heard him mentioned in my Zoroark combo video. He is a human being on that I DM on Twitter concerning things like deck lists. And he also does Twitch streaming at Josh Hader. And he makes some wacky stuff. Okay, he makes no matter what he plays, he'll always find a way to put Mimikyu-GX in it. At least before it rotated. Now that it's rotated, he doesn't do that anymore. But ever since that card came out, it seems, he just puts Mimikyu in every single deck imaginable. It's absolutely insane. He played like Zapdos from Team Up as its own deck, first of all, which is already pretty wacky, with Vikavolt V, just standard electric type stuff. But then, you see, there's a Mimikyu-GX in the deck. And he specifically adds spaces in the deck so that he can use Mimikyu, which isn't even that good. It's absolutely insane. So yeah, Josh, he definitely has some wacky ideas. However, he does definitely have some good ideas when he wants to have them. And he, like I said, he has words are difficult. So because he has so many wacky ideas, he also has some wacky expanded ideas that he has done on his Twitch streams. He used my wacky Zoroark combo list. He used Zap Beasts, which I'm pretty sure is actually standard, but never mind that. Anyway, he makes some wacky stuff. That's the point I'm trying to make here. And I decided to make something wacky too. And that wackiness that I decided to make was ADPG. Archestylega Impulkia GX with Golisopod-GX and expanded. Now, this deck is this deck's really wacky. Now, for those who don't know what Archestylega Impulkia does, why are you here? You really should know what this card does. Seriously, learn what this card does, because if you're trying to get into the game, knowing what it does is essential. So, yeah, Archestylega Impulkia. 3 copies of Wimpod with Wimp Out. This Wimpod in particular is the best Wimpod to play. It says during your first turn, this Pokemon has no retreat cost. So if you get stuck with it in the active spot, you can retreat into something that you do want to use. So that's just a nice little plus, I think. And then 3 copies of Golisopod-GX, the main attacker of the deck. Now, for those who don't know what Golisopod-GX does, that's a little bit more understandable. So basically, for 1 energy, it has First Impression, where it does 30 damage, and if this Pokemon became your active Pokemon during this turn, it does 90 more, so 120 for 1 Grass Energy. Now, of course, with Altered Creation GX, that is hitting 150 damage, which is, to be quite frank, a way more relevant number than 120 at the moment will ever be. It 2-shots pretty much everything, including Trevnoir, which, I mean, it's Trevnoir, what do you expect? It pretty much 2-shots everything in the game, and if it doesn't 2-shot something in the game, we have other ways to make sure it 2-shots everything in the game. Don't you worry about it. But basically, that's it. That's the stuff right there. It does have 2 other attacks, which we're not going to be concerning ourselves with. Armor Press for a Grass and 2 colorless. It does 100 damage, and it takes 30 less damage from attacks. It's okay. Don't use it. For the love of God, don't use it. I mean, you can't use it. Never mind. Made this list pretty recently, but you were physically incapable of using it because we do not play double colorless energy. And then Crossing Cut, again, for a Grass and 2 colorless, 150, and you switch it with one of your benched. Not great. Anyway, Then we played 2 copies of Trubbish and 2 copies of Garbodor. Now, this is like a classic Golisopod thing. Golisopod-Garbodor was an archetype in and of itself, because Golisopod, of course, doesn't really have an ability it relies on. I mean, unless you count Wimpod. And Garbotoxin really, it was like a very set strategy. Shut everything off, and just and shutting things off made it really, really easy for you to not die in the process of two-shotting. Because, Garbotoxin's on, you'd first impression, but your opponent's so far behind because they have no abilities that it's easier for you to two-shot everything. That was kind of like the idea. And then combined with the Trash Lanche Garbodor at the time, you could Trash Lanche for later in the game for huge amounts of damage. Yeah, it was very, very good. I'm pretty sure it made it to the World's Finals against Golisopod-GX, and what I'm pretty sure was the 2017 season. Actually, I'm pretty sure it was the 2017 season. So, yeah. Next up, we play 1 copy of Garchomp and Giratina. The reason we play this is because it is, in all honesty, a better first impression follow-up. So basically, first impression does 120 damage. I mean, we already covered that. But Garchomp and Giratina has 3 attacks. Actually, no, only 2 attacks that we can use. Actually, we could use a 3rd attack if we were really, really desperate, but just don't. Just don't, please. If you have to GG end, something is going horribly wrong. So, first attack, linear attack, it does 40 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. A pretty vanilla attack, but it's not bad. But then the second attack for a Psychic, a Fighting, and a Colorless, it does 160 damage, and if your opponent has any damage counters on it already, it does 240 in total, so 80 more. Now, with Double Dragon Energy, which we do play, it takes a Double Dragon and a Grass in order to use the attack. So, first impression is not always going to be two-shotting everything, right? Your first impression again, that's 300. Congratulations. That's not much. So what you do is you first impression, and then you use one of your many switching cards, which could be just Switch, it could be Escape Rope, it could be Float Stone, any of those things. Retreat into Garchomp and Giratina. Of course, they will already have damage counters on them, so that's 240 plus your previous 1200. That is knocking out everything in the game. Even a Snorlax with a Hard Charm could not survive that. So, yeah, just absolutely bonkers. Actually, no. Snorlax VMAX with a Hard Charm would... Actually, no. They wouldn't, because Altered Creation makes it so we hit at 30 extra damage. Thanks, Altered Creation. You're the best. So no, nothing is surviving that. Honestly, I don't even think that the Wrath of, I don't know, insert deck here, could withstand that. Nothing could. So that is just a very, very good finisher in case first impression can't do the job. So that's that. It's really mostly a secondary attacker. A great follow-up to first impression to knock out things that you previously weren't able to, etc. So, next up is 2 copies of Shaymin EX because it's Shaymin and its setup is broken and expanded. Don't know how many times I can say how broken it is before nothing, because people already know it's broken. 1 copy. Wait a minute, did I say scoop up? I don't know, whatever. Talking is difficult. We've been through this multiple times. 1 Tapu Lele because Wonder Tag is good, and 1 Dedenne because Dead Change is good. Who would have thought? Next up, 3 copies of Professor Juniper. Professor Juniper is Professor Juniper. What else do I need to say? Honestly, discard your hand, draw 7. We've seen the effect multiple times before, and it will always be good. 2 copies of Guzma. Yeah, it's Guzma. Guzma also really helps out with Golisopod because you can Guzma, bring up something like a Shaymin, and then go into like a Garbodor with a Floatstone, and then Guzma, and then retreat back into Golisopod and snipe the Shaman for 3 prize cards. God, this deck is so filthy. 2 copies of Guzma and Hala. This is mostly to search out your double dragon energy. However, we do play multiple tools in here, of course, Floatstone. We do play a stadium in here in Chaotic Swell. So it's useful. Then we play 1 copy of Karen. Each player shuffles all Pokemon into his or her deck. It shuffles all Pokemon in their discard pile into his or her deck. So this is the Mad Party auto win, pretty much. I cannot see Mad Party winning against this deck after we drop a Karen late game. It just isn't happening. Sorry. And then 1 copy of N, because N is still N, and N is N. 4 copies of Ultra Ball, because discarding 2 and searching for any Pokemon is good. It's just good. It's a good effect. Especially since we don't play as many, or since we don't play as many basic Pokemon. We play more evolution Pokemon than most decks. Of course, we play both Golisopod and we play Garbodor. So Ultra Ball is really good for that flexibility. 4 copies of VS Seeker, because getting back supporters is nice. And then 3 copies of Quick Ball, because even though we do play a few evolution Pokemon, being able to search out for any basic Pokemon is also just very, very good. Sorry. 3 copies of Escape Rope. This card is good for many different reasons. Basically, each player switches their active Pokemon with one of their bench Pokemon. Your opponent switches first, and if this player does not have a bench Pokemon, it doesn't work. So basically, if you have a benched Pokemon, you can switch it, and if your opponent has a benched Pokemon, they can switch, or they have to switch it. Sorry. Now this can be really good. It's kind of like a Fion type of deal, where it forces your opponent to switch, but it doesn't force them to switch into anything in particular. So if they have something with a Floatstone, they could just easily switch into that. But even then, it's getting knocked out anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Then we play 2 copies of Battle Compressor. Battle Compressor is mostly just there to discard our supporters, but also just anything we don't really need in that matchup. Like if we have both of our ADPs in the deck, then we can discard one of them because we don't need to in a game. If you're doing that, then just concede the game already. And also, you might not always need Garbodor in every matchup. However, setting up Garbodor is probably going to be needed in every matchup. Let's be honest here. And you might not also need. I can't think of much. Oh, maybe Chaotic Swell. You might not need. So there's that. 2 switch, because switches switch, and this is Golisopod we're talking about here. 1 copy of Special Charge, because discarding double dragon energy early without attaching it to our Lord and Savior Arceus, Dialga, and Palkia should be considered a sin. 1 copy of Computer Search, because Computer Search is the best A spec in the game. 3 copies of Bodybuilding Dumbbells. This is to attach to our Golisopod to give him a little bit of extra, a little bit of extra beef, So there's that. And then 3 copies of Floatstone. Attach it to Golisopod. Attach it to ADP. Attach it to Garbodor. Attach it to Garchomp and Giratina. Attach it to anything in the deck. Everything in the deck benefits from Floatstone. I wouldn't even mind adding a 4th copy in here if I can find the room. But right now, this list is looking pretty good. In fact, there isn't much I'd change about it at all at the moment. Maybe Bodybuilding Dumbbells could be reduced to a 2 count, and then Floatstone could be upped to a 4, but I don't know. But right now, that is the list. So thank you all for watching. And as always, this is River from the Portland City Gym, signing out. Ha, psych. You thought I forgot about the announcements, didn't you? I did not forget about the announcements. Here are the announcements. This is a very late announcement, because I did it like 2 weeks ago. Was it a week ago? I don't know. So, I made a Pokemon team. Yeah, I know. It's pretty much just it's pretty much just like a joke team. I can't remember who said it, but some stranger on the internet said that teams were a waste of time because unless you're like sponsored or something, it's basically just a bunch of groups of friends just doing whatever, and that's pretty true. So what's wrong with that anyway? We made a team. Team name is to be announced. I have an idea, but I'm not ready to share that here because yeah. There's also another person I'd like to add to the team. Right now, it is just me, someone named Owen, at OwenTCG on Twitter, or Sophocles12345. But his name is OwenTCG. You get it. But that's the first member. And the second member is someone who's been kind of inactive at the moment, but he's also a fellow Pokemon competitive TCG YouTuber called Trust Your Pilot. He kind of just said he'd join. I don't really know what's going on so far. I'm still kind of pulling everything together, getting everything set up. There's another person I want to add to the team. I actually asked them if there's any way I could privately message them to give them the Discord link. So yeah, we're just gonna have to see how that goes. But anyway, and if you're wondering who that person is, I'll make an announcement if they say they'll join. But at the moment, they have not joined. So yeah. So anyway, that's the announcement. I'm starting a team. And together with all the few of us, we are going to win regionals in expanded, standard, and all that stuff. We're gonna win everything. And then we're going to become a well-known and respected team. And then after that, I have absolutely no freaking clue. So anyway, that's the announcement. Oh, also another announcement. I'm doing a 25 subscriber special. But River, 25 subscribers isn't really that monumental. Well, breaking through the YouTube algorithms and managing to get to 25 subscribers without having to buy them all is quite an accomplishment, if I do say so myself. Milestones that are under 1,000 subscribers are worth a lot more than you think they are. Maybe they're not worth as much as maybe like 1,000,000 or 100,000. But being able to get through the YouTube algorithms is quite the celebration in my eyes. So, yeah. Anyway, some kind of 25 subscriber special. What I'm thinking to do is kind of like a Pokemon recap of all the cool things that have happened. Not like with this channel in specific, but just like things that have happened, all the cool cards that are rotating out, a sort of a memorial for all the cool cards that are rotating, a memorial for all the decks that I have played. Maybe I'll do a live stream, probably not because I suck at live streaming. But yeah, 25 subscribers. You know, it's a milestone if you could call it that. Quote River. Anyway, now, for real, this is River from the Portland City Gym, signing out. And still not, editing this out. Dang, I got the thing mixed up. Whatever, bye.